Well, good evening. It is January 15th, 2024. We are celebrating Martin Luther King Day. I'm hoping that everybody had a chance to do something that is in service to other people in recognition of this wonderful day. Uh, I was asked to talk a little bit about 2024 and some thoughts that I could possibly share with people as they try to make this a little of a different kind of year and pathway, and what are some suggestions that may be helpful in trying to make that happen. So I want to go over that before we have a chance to join our guest this evening, Junior, who's going to talk about his quest to attain his personal best and what some of those efforts um, and some of the successes and challenges that he's experienced in trying to make that happen. But before doing that, I want to just go over this information with you so that you have this as a resource to think about as we go forth. So our goal should always be to attain our personal best and really to try to be the best person you can be. And again, for this conversation today, we're going to call this the best me. And there are 5 things that I really think are important for people to keep in mind as we try to work on this effort to be the best me. And understand the best me is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not something you arrive at on a particular day or a particular time. It's something that you're constantly working on. And there are 5 components that I'd ask for you to think about. Is that we work as hard as we can to be selfless, because we're involved in it. It's almost nearly impossible to be totally selfless. Because there is some sort of benefit that you can derive from your efforts. But what I mean by trying to be selfless is to really think of your legacy and what your impact, and hopefully your impact will be a positive thing on other people. And that we try not always to do things that may have an immediate benefit to us, that we really think about the benefit to ourselves as well as to others. Secondly, that as an effort to try to be the best me, that you're trying to seek out truth and seek out a better understanding of how things work and how they're comprised, and the who, the what, the where, the when, and the how of circumstances, and that we make a strong commitment that there'll be no more lies to ourselves as well as others, and that we learn to accept what exists. And I'm a big fan of acronyms, so if we were to take that, that's what we should be in awe of, accepting what exists. And that should be our challenge to work on. Thirdly, that we want to embrace our potential and capacity. And attaining your personal best is really important to understand it's yours. It's not everybody else's. It's really trying to figure out what you were sent here to do. And how can your life have an impact on others, and that we want to manage those possibilities within our abilities, and recognize that what we're given allows us to complete a lot. It doesn't allow us to complete everything, but it does allow us to complete a lot. And that, fourthly, the geography is so very important. We all can't be successful in every environment. And we have to recognize that we need to work very hard to be with whom and where serves you best. Research was done years ago about people traveling in an airport, and they found that 70% of the people traveling have already gone to the place they're going to at least one time already. And we have to recognize that lots of places have done everything they're going to do for us, and us visiting them again and again and again is probably not going to further us to attaining our personal best and getting the things we're looking for. That often it's going to be a new person, a new place, or a new thing. And lots of times, if it's going to be really impactful, it's going to be a combination of all three of them. New people, new places, doing new things. So we need to align the people and places and things that we have in our life toward our success, so that we're able to accomplish that. Lastly, but not any less important than the other four items that I covered, is that we need to plan forward. We need to concentrate on what will be, not what has been. A lot of times we spend a fair amount of our energies going back and rehashing yesterday. And we spend very little time focusing on what tomorrow can bring and what are the possibilities that the future has, and really planning and scheming out and mapping out those aspects. So again, in review, we want to try real hard in this year and every year that we are graced, and every day that we're graced with the opportunity to be present, that we work to be selfless, that we seek truth, and that we tell truth, that we embrace our potential and capacity, that we recognize the importance of geography, and that we plan forward. So please keep those things in mind. Something else I'd like to just review is the premise of this show is about the 4Ms, which is just reminding us that we should have these answers to these questions answered on each day we're venturing forth. So the question will be, where are you going? And because we have a map, we can answer that. Are we okay? And because we are focusing on our mental wellness, we can hopefully answer in the affirmative. And that we consider this, that looking at mediation and considering different options and alternatives are, again, very important. And then mentoring, who has your back, where have you learned what you've learned, who's there for you today as you're trying to learn new things. But I've realized that people that are successful and people that experience challenges are working with these same 4Ms. They're working with mapping, they're working and addressing their mental wellness. There's mediation in their lives, as well as mentoring. And so we want to make sure that we have placed that balance in our life. And sometimes we favor one of these things, but what I've learned is that our goal is to bring all four of these things present, and to juggle all four of them, because often the thing we drop is the thing that's going to pull us down. And so our job is, again, to work real hard to balance all four aspects. So that's the 4Ms. I wanted to just review that. One last thing that I'll share as a point of a review is the whole person. And then to recognize that all 8 parts of you are equally important, and they all beg and need the others. And these are not in any primary order. It's just the way it was laid out, that our health and working to be as fit and to maximize ourselves and to be as healthy as we can is important. That our spirituality and our belief system is important to recognize and to celebrate. That our personal development, that who we're working on becoming and how we thrive and overcome and expand ourselves is important. That our finances are present in our lives, so that we have resources and hopefully we can give and support others. That there's an environment that we live within that's set up for us to win, and for us to have a sense of ownership and belonging to. Next is education, that we are working, again, you're on a journey, not a destination, that you're working to learn as much as you can about the much you do not know, and you're seeking and trying to acquire that information. Number 7 is recreation, that we recognize that word means to recreate ourselves. And what we should be doing as we recreate is things that will allow us to rejuvenate and foster a attitude that's positive and upbuilding. And last but not least, an important part of our lives is our family and friends, because they are a network. They are our safety net. That it is extremely hard to live this life without having family and friends, because they help us to belong, and they help us to feel that we are loved and appreciated. So again, each of these are very important, and often the things that we're not concentrating on out of these 8 things are the things that come back and take the things that we're trying to accomplish away from us. So it's a lot to juggle. Again, there's these 8 domains. We just mentioned that you need to keep these 4 M's important in your life. And then we talked again about these 5 things. So being successful and attaining your personal best, I wish I could tell you that it's easy work. But I think often it's the start. Often we just got to begin the process, and we put one day with another day, 1 week with another week, 1 month with another month, 1 year with another year, 1 decade with another decade, and you'd be surprised where you end up. But it all starts with that commitment to move forth. And I think what's also important, before we have Julian join us to talk about any of the things we've talked about, but anything else that's on his mind as well, is we also understand the role that temptation has in our life and what we're trying to accomplish, and being able to control that. Because often that's the invitation for us to come off script and off plan and off map and off mental wellness and off mediation and off mentorship. It's that temptation. But often the temptation exists because we're trying to deal with it in silence and secrets, because we're ashamed. So we need to figure out a way to be transparent and able to talk about it. And I've learned in life that once you're able to talk about it, you'll eventually be able to laugh about it and take it less lighter than without having learned to talk about it. So again, I think that as we look with any of the things we're planning for 2024 or planning for the next hour, that often our ability to control the temptations that we have, which is often a calling by those negative things that are in our life to remind us you're not all you say you are, that you're less than. And temptations are things that allow us to believe that for a moment. And we really need to work very hard to not believe that. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Mr. Junior to join us and share his thoughts on anything we've talked about, but also just check in with him as another person and who's on the quest to attain his personal best. So Julian, Junior, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for asking.
Very good. So hopefully you had a chance to listen to some of the stuff I was sharing. What are your thoughts about what I just shared?
Really, you said obtaining your personal best. I feel like that, following the steps, I feel like that I need to add more of that to my life. I feel like following those steps is difficult at the time. But with a little bit more discipline, I feel like that I need, I feel like I can obtain those type of things. As far as success wise, um, well, the main thing would be discipline. I feel like I saw that you had spiritual on there as well as health, mental health. I know that that's a main factor because I feel like that we all need to be mentally ready to do it, and it's something that we have to put in our head mentally to gain that success, and it takes a lot of discipline, and we need to understand um, that there are going to be hard times and there are going to be hardships, and that we need to continue to fight to work through them. And I feel like that those that those quests is going to be difficult, but I feel like that I'm making my way towards it.
Good. Do me a favor and raise the camera up so everybody can
I'm
see you.
sorry, I
Okay.
apologize.
I can see your handsome face. So um, thank you for raising it up. So in a way you feel comfortable, Junior, share with people like who you are. And, if you don't mind sharing your age and just where are you at in life and what are some of the things that you're working on to try to achieve?
Okay, sure. Well, just to introduce myself, I was in child first, about wow, since I was 14 years old up until 18. where I'm at in now in life now.
How old are you now?
I Right now I'm 25. So it's been a while. My time in Child First, I can admit that I didn't use it wisely, and I say that because of how I thought as a kid, and I know that I'm from Philadelphia, so I know how. I'm not gonna say how every kid thinks, but I feel as though that I know what they're thinking and some of the stuff that they've gone through and 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 hearing them talk and just going through that with them. I've realized where they're coming from and stuff like that. So I've been in Child First for about a couple years, and I've been out for a couple years as well. As far as what I've been doing now, I recently came home for about a year. I just came home from prison. I did about 2 years
Okay, so
there.
let's pause there.
Mhm.
One of the things people have shared with me is we seem to have a fair amount of young people that have been in our agency who have, as adults, the time spent in the criminal justice system. Um, could you just talk for a moment as to what your thoughts on kids that are in the foster care system that end up graduating for some period of their life into the criminal justice system? And what are your thoughts about how that happened? Because that's an outcome that is a little disturbing to frequently hear being reported.
I feel as though that maybe I feel as though that maybe it would be past trauma. I mean, I can only speak for myself, so I feel like that might be a factor. But I feel as though that we might have such a high rate because I feel as though kids' minds are stimulated.
Let's hope he comes back on. But again, as I was, sharing that I'm, very concerned with the numbers that are shared, and just in the short time of doing this show for maybe 10 or 12 Mondays. Hold on, you're back, Julian.
Yeah, can
Um,
you hear me?
I can't. Hold on.
Yeah,
Uh, just
I'm
it's
sorry.
it's okay. So just hearing those numbers week after week has been something that has really stuck with me. Um, but again, let's go back to Junior and your thoughts as to the frequency that we're hearing a correlation between kids that have been in the child welfare system and now have had some sort of stint in the criminal justice system.
Well, like I said, I feel as though that past traumas, but I feel as though that they need something more to stimulate their minds. I feel like that's another reason why. I feel as though when I was in child first, like I said, I didn't take how can I put this? I didn't take advantage of some of the things that you were offering, because even when I was in child first, I know that you were offering me. You told, well, all of us, because I still had friends that were in there, and I remember you telling us the not to use you, well, to use you, not abuse you. And I feel like that was something that we abused instead of used. So I feel as though that kids now, they're so used of taking advantage, and I feel as though um that they need more things to stimulate their minds, and that they need to know that there's an out instead of, and maybe it's not just school. I feel like but I know that I have a younger brother, and I tell him trade school is something that's great. So I just feel like that they need a lot more to stimulate their minds. And I feel as though that when I went into child first, I was took from Philadelphia and moved to the Poconos. I was in Mount Pocono, as well as a few other area houses, and I feel like that was something that I didn't realize was so great until I went back to the Philadelphia house, or back to Philadelphia. And I just feel like that kids aren't seeing um the outs, and I feel like that they need more male role models, because some of the staff that you had in there, it were great for me, and I still remember some of the stuff that they say to this day and how they work with me. And I know that everybody is different, and it may reach everybody differently, and I know that everybody goes through different stuff and goes through different things, but um I feel like that well, as far as males wise, I feel like that positive role model helps, because I know me growing up in the and before even going to the foster care system, I didn't have that role model, and I know that young males tend to, speaking on myself as well, but I know that males tend to search for that, because I know I did when I was at that tender age, and they tend to search for other males and that guidance. And as much as we may have our pride in a way or may not want to admit, but as a young adult or a young man, you thrive for that, you need that. So I feel as though that might be another reason why that they tend to go to that.
So let me ask you this question:
Mhm,
in your life today, as being 25,
mhm.
who is in your life now that serves as your mentor, or mentors?
As
You shared earlier that it wasn't there for you as a youngster. Now, is it there for you as an older person?
as an older person, I feel like I'm still searching for that. I don't have it as much, because I feel like, not to cry for help, but I feel like everybody in the world is struggling. So I feel like that there aren't too many people that's willing to mentor you. Everybody has their own issues and stuff going on, I feel like.
Do,
And
do you,
so it's a blessing to see when somebody is able to do that. But me
Julian,
personally.
just hold on one second.
Mhm.
One more time. Just do me a favor and just keep the camera so you're looking
Oh, I'm
into
sorry, I
it. So
apologize.
it just makes for a little better experience. So thanks, I appreciate it. Um, so um, you're feeling or you're seeing that sometimes there's mentors are not available. They have their own stuff that they're struggling with or dealing with. So that's a challenge.
Yes, I agree. I feel like there aren't many mentors, or if there is, they're not accessible. And then when the younger people do have that, we don't we're I don't know if it's just the generation or what it is, but younger people, we aren't accepting our elders as maybe somebody of my age group or a little bit older than me has went through. They're not going towards their elders, and I feel like now that the elders are scared of the younger kids, and
Mm,
it's times is really crazy right now, and I just feel like it's kind of hard for certain people to maybe find that mentorship in their life. and
mm,
I and I also feel as though, me personally, I've had people like older gentlemen that's been in my life, but that's because I've been in restaurants, I've served, I've bartended, so I've done multiple things where I was able to meet different people, and I feel as though some people don't have that drive, and maybe that option to even explore. Like, I'm sure no one, any one of my friends or anyone peers that I have never told about, have never even thought about serving at a restaurant or bartending. And I feel as though that was a great way for me to meet different people, to even gain that type of mentorship. Because at one point in time, I did have that, and he passed away. But I feel as though that they need different outlets to be able to find that mentorship. And I feel as though that once they see that,
mm.
then they will look for that by themselves and more often.
So talk to me about what's on your plate now. What are you planning to do in the future?
So as far as the future, I actually have a lot, and I do have a lot of steps and a lot of growing to do to get to that. But I plan on getting my CDL. I finished.
So that's your commercial driver's license.
Yes, sir. Yes. I'm halfway through. I got about 4 more weeks left of school, and I plan on using that. That's just the stepping stone, because I plan on owning properties, and that's my dream. That's my goal. To not have to even drive the trucks for too long, and even if I do, I know that, and I've done my research. I have family members that do. I know how everything works. So that is a plan, and I do have a backup plan. I've been working in construction. I do labor right now. I'm hoping to get into something where I can actually get some type of apprenticeship or something of that nature. Because as I said, I told my little brother, I feel as though that the trades is the way to go right now. And
So
yeah.
let me ask you three other questions. We talked about mentorship, and there are people that have been there in and out. but the consistency may be a challenge for you. When it comes to your mental wellness, how are you doing when it comes to all the stuff that is in your mind and that affects your feelings and thoughts? How are you handling your mental wellness?
Um, well, see, how I grew up, I've dealt with a lot. So being a man, I feel as though that we hide our what we go through, our emotions and things of that nature, and I feel as though we hide them pretty well. So I know that me personally, mental health wise, I'm going to be strong either way. Even if I do go through it or whatever I do go through, I'm going to be strong regardless. And
Who's helping you go through it?
I
What
mean,
what are your thoughts about getting some help to, to go through it? Just have someone that could just be a sounding board for you as you think through some of your past experiences and plan out your future experiences. What are your thoughts about counseling?
really counseling. I mean, I've done it when I was younger. But as far as counseling, talking to someone, um, I just feel as though counseling isn't for everybody. And I'm gonna just speak on myself. I just feel like counseling doesn't
Okay, but
really work for me.
hold on a second.
Mhm.
In the simplistic form of definition of counseling, it's just talking.
Right, and that
So
I can do.
yeah, so
Correct.
what I'm saying. So
Mhm.
exactly. I want to just counter your argument that therapy is not or counseling is not for everybody. Counseling is talking. So like talking is for everybody that can talk, right? So, and you can talk, right? So I
Right.
think there's different forms and there's different ways, and some people are more clinical and less clinical than others. But I would encourage you. You've gone through a lot, and uh, trying to keep a perspective, I think, is really important. So I would encourage you to keep that in mind. And I think along with that same line is I think that the counseling may help you with some mediation and figuring out alternatives and options. And again, you've already shared a little bit of your map
Mhm.
um, and what you want to accomplish, which is a lot. Just I want you to listen to what you
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
It's a truck driver. It's a real estate, uh,
Mhm.
owner, and there was something else that you said as well. So you have a, one of those things would be a full-time job with mandatory overtime. You want to
Right.
do a couple of them, which is all very doable and very possible. But I want you to understand the full of your plate, the full of your schedule, and the full of your responsibilities. And so it's really important for you to make sure you have all the resources that can be made available to you. Um, so as we get ready to wrap up in the next couple of minutes, what is it that I or others, Julian, you've had some contact with me over the last year or so, but it's been somewhat sporadic. And but what can I do and others that know you and know others in your circumstance? What can we do to help you?
Um, be my mentors. I feel as though I'm a personal knowledge. I'm a heavy, even though I might be a heavy do it myself person. I'm a personal knowledge and gaining new knowledge. So, I mean, I don't mind reaching out to you guys. Anyone that is willing to just maybe point me in the right direction of different things or something that you might know that you might have heard me speak about or something that I might not know that might be helpful to me. And even though if it might not help me right now, I'm really an open book, and I love to gain new knowledge about any and everything. So that's one way that I can say what have.
One of my colleagues who happens to be a registered nurse, Selena Mack, is wrote her comments on the screen here and said she's also willing. So I think there are people out there that are really willing to help, and I believe very firmly that you need mentors, not just one mentor. And so you have two volunteers this evening alone in Selena to help you along. Because again, I want you to begin to make some of those dreams that you have happen, and stay on map, stay on mental wellness, stay on mediation, and stay on mentorship. So whatever we can do, we're going to make sure we avail ourselves to do that. And I'll make sure I connect you with Nurse Mac right after this is done today, so you have that as a resource. Anything else that people can do for people like you and for yourself?
Um, for people like I mean, it's you can write a whole book for people like I mean, me personally, I'm not going to speak on myself, but people like man, I feel like you
Julian,
can definitely write a whole.
hold on, Julian. You don't raise this camera, I swear.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
No, no.
Yeah,
See,
I'm sorry.
back in the day, I could beat you. You have to deal with child abuse. I don't know what we do with now, uh, but
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
good. All right, so Julian, we'll check in, and again, I'll connect you with Nurse Mac and stay in touch with Nitsa and myself. Again, we want to see you successful. We don't want you to be a negative statistic. We want you to be a positive one. So whatever we can do to help you to do that, we stand prepared to do that. And I thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm sure it's going to help other people as they try to figure things out as well.
No problem at all. Thank you so much, Dr. Williams. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Take care. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a lot there, a lot for us to consider for people in our lives that may have had some challenges and hurdles. Again, asking myself the question, what is it that we can do to support them? But I think often listening to their journey is so important, so you can understand what they're working on and how our support can be there. And I think we often try to offer temporary help, but some of these individuals are going to need support for a long time. And that's why, even though individuals are no longer associated, with our organization, we still feel a responsibility to monitor and check in and provide support because it's important. Not only when they, for lack of a better term, when they were billable, but even after they're no longer billable, but they're living life. And again, our goal is just as important to help them now as it was when they were in our care in a more formal way. So I would encourage you to think about that for the people in your lives. What can you do to extend some support to them so they recognize they're on their own, but they're not alone, and that you are there to offer some resources. One last thing that I want to share with people is about something that I happened to be reading that talked about happiness. And it talked about happiness being somewhat of a challenge for a lot of people, because a lot of us don't have, for lack of a better term, happy genes. That's not where we come from, and that's not how life has been. That's not how the environment we were in. That a lot of times happiness was something that was foreign to us. And it takes a great amount of work to try to bring along that. And some of the things that I shared with you earlier, that this best me, learning to be selfless and seeking truth and embracing your potential and capacity and geography and planning forward. Those are all things that can help you be somewhat more comfortable in your own skin and able to navigate this thing called life. And I would just ask you to think about that as a person, how happy you are, and what are you doing to try to make yourself happier, and really looking at your behavior to really realize how much happiness is that bringing to you as well as to others. So again, something for you to contemplate and to think about. So we're going to wrap up for today, January 15th, 2024, and we'll be back next week, which will be the 22nd at 8 p.m. So please take time to join us again next week. Till then, take care.